drafted by the Army, and when I went to Whitehall Street, they said, we need Marines today. Out of you 90 men, we're going to pick 20 of you people as Marines. On the same day I was drafted, I had friends of mine from high school, as well as a buddy that I hung out with, also down with me. And we all decided we're going into the Marines that day. And my close buddy, he was one that didn't come home from Vietnam. We all wound up going to Vietnam, and he didn't come home.
Well, my dad was a sergeant in the Army Reserve. He said, hey, why don't you think about joining the Guard or Reserve? I had a good friend of mine who was in the Pennsylvania National Guard. He kind of talked me into it, so I joined as an enlisted soldier. Well, now I got a GI Bill, so now I could go back to Kutztown University, and my dad said, hey, you're going to college, if you're going to be in the military, you might as well make some money, become an officer. So I joined the ROTC program, and I was commissioned a lieutenant in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, and this was in 1993. I graduated from Kutztown University.
Parris Island did a good job, you know. We were gung-ho, you know. We were what they call piss and vinegar in our veins, and we were, you know, we were trained and brainwashed to be the greatest, you know, and we really believed it, you know, and they sent us over to Vietnam, and at the time, this is 1966, our government sent us, you know, and we went, you know, and then we were told we were supposed to, you know, protect their democracy there because they were going into communism, you know. Unfortunately, when we got there, I realized that the country was for us and against us in a sense. They really weren't by our side, and then I had a feeling it was going to be dragged out as long as it was.
We were responsible for the security of the international zone, which is 5 square miles in the heart of Baghdad. Now this is 2006, 2007. This is the surge. This is when General Petraeus was the commander, and this was when it was hot. May of 2006, the place where I slept, within a 300-meter radius, there were over 80 confirmed impacts of indirect fire. And I knew this because one of my jobs was to monitor the amount of indirect and also to respond to them and kind of do a battle damage assessment.
Combat for anybody is, even war itself, is a traumatic experience, and it stays with you forever. And even when you come home, you feel the guilt of surviving such a traumatic experience. It's beastly brutality. 2016,
police career over. 2017, mandatory retirement. I retired as a major. Done. You're not getting promoted, you're done. So now I'm 50 years old, done work, you know, kind of a good thing, you know what I mean? But, you know, my grandmother used to have a saying, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So now what am I going to do to keep busy? Now I'm not keeping busy. Now guess what's coming back? You know, thoughts, images, sight, smells, sound, you name it, whatever the trigger of the day is, you know, to release the demons, as I say, you know.
I think how I coped with my PTSD was not only shrugging it off, but keeping myself so occupied and distracted. I would do things in a community. I was a volunteer fireman, which I still am for 40 years. I was commander of my American Legion post. And be a commander, you have to go up the line. I mean, this is quite a bit, and there's a lot of detail with that. And I'm also the past commander of my local VFW chapter, again going up the line. We had 2 girls. I couldn't be a Boy Scout leader, so we became Girl Scout leaders. I think I just totally consumed at the same time trying to keep a household, painting the house, or putting this down and repairing that. It was a constant busy where I was too exhausted to really come face to face.
The class that we're teaching right now is a class for veterans, and the dogs that got matched are Marshall and Augie, and they have been specifically trained to help mitigate the symptoms of post-traumatic stress for the veterans. A lot goes into our matches. It's a very lengthy application process for any of our clients to go through the process, and so we get a whole bunch of information based on their lifestyles, their home environment, the places they want to be taking the service dogs, the types of environments, whether it's work or flying on airplanes, traveling with transportation. All of that gets considered based on the type of dog we're going to match them with. And so then we also have to look at the skills that the veterans and our clients want. Do they want the dogs to wake them up from nightmares? Do they want the dogs to pick things up off the ground like canes and keys that might fall? And so then we look at the dogs that we have available. What are their skill sets? Are they really good at retrieving? Are they really good at those positional commands? And we start thinking about the environments that dog would work well in. So it really is this matchmaking process where we sit down and we look at all the facts and we look at what the people want and what the dogs can do and find those best matches. We like to practice many skills, both here on campus and out in public, that will be utilized by the veterans. So we practice some of the positional commands, front and behind, where the dogs stand either in front of the veteran or behind the veteran. These are really useful in crowded spaces or waiting in lines where people might not give a veteran enough space for them to feel comfortable. And by putting the dog either in front or behind them, this allows people to stand a little bit further back and give them the space that they need to feel comfortable. We also saw the dogs practicing some ups, where they put their feet up on a surface, and under, where they lay down underneath the surface. And those are very useful in just navigating around environments, getting the dogs to be out of the way when they're at a restaurant, going underneath a table. We will be working with the veterans on retrieving things off of counters, so the dogs will have to put their feet up to grab some medication or a cell phone off of the counter and bring that back to the veteran. And we also just worked on basic, obedience of sit and down and walking nicely on a leash, as those are critical skills for the dogs behaving when out in public. The dogs, when they are with their puppy raisers, they are learning so much about the world. I can train dogs to do all the commands that we need the dogs to do. So I can teach them to sit and down and walk nicely on a leash, but I can't take 10 dogs home with me and teach them not to potty in the house and to go out in public and be calm. I can't expose them to men with canes and beards and hats and women in big raincoats with umbrellas. That's all part of just life that these puppies need to be able to experience over the course of that year and a half that they're with their puppy raisers.
Sure enough, the next appointment we had for Northport VA, where I go to, there was a veteran named Benny, who was walking his dog with this vest on. And my wife went running over to him and asked him about his dog, and could she pet him, and was he working? And he said, fine. And we had a nice conversation. And he said, there's a beautiful place, CCI, here in Medford. And that, he says, you live in Long Island, you're only 40 miles away. He says, you can choose to live there for 2 weeks or commute.
The professionalism and the skill set of the folks here it's incredible. And the experience, because you could tell they anticipate our questions, that they know and know. We'll get to that, And the other thing is, it's a great environment. It's a very calming environment. It's good for guys like us, guys who are looking for peace. This is good, and these great dogs we're getting paired with bring that peace.
So I was a little bit taken back, because he's quite a big dog. They say he's a mixed lab, but he's quite big, but we're growing on each other. And I think eventually he will be my best buddy. Like I said, we used to have a saying in the service, I got your back, I got you 6. And I feel with somebody like him, he has my back and my 6. He's going to keep me safe and secure. And I think if there's anything going on, he'll warn me about it. And I feel that, you know, and I know I can feel the endorphins, you know, when I pet him or stroke him. I feel that he's giving me love, you know, and it's unconditional love that just keeps on giving. And that's what this guy's about.
That alone time when the mind starts to wander back to Baghdad, Kabul, Ghazni, you know, fill in the blank of, you know, whatever, you know, the streets outside of Reading, you know, the fill in the blank. I can unfortunately conjure up about 100, you know, different bad things in my head. He'll be there, and I can call him over, you know, and I can say, Augie, lap. Yes, that's it, that's it, that's it. Yes. Now he's here. You know, he feels good, I feel good. You know, it's a mutual. So, who's saving who? I don't know. I mean, he was living, don't get me wrong, he was living a good life, but I'll give him a good life.